and I quote, "I'll be there in a minute. Give me a second."
Time is relative, folks. Time is relative.
Yes. So, hey, cheers to everybody in the chat.
They're a division rival. I don't care how many wins they get. Screw them.
That wasn't the take I was expecting to hear.
I want to gush over watching live Chris Tanev.
I think that we completely underestimate the skill it takes to play defense.
One highlight or several highlights does not a Calder trophy make.
I'm stepping in here. I'm going to be the crotchety old man here. They need to learn patience. They need to understand the tension, and everything, and the drama.
How dare! Look at this. How is McDavid not getting a penalty?
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down with it.
Calming down here. Come on. We've got the regular season has started in the National Hockey League. The Canucks have played 2 games. We've got a province. The province of British Columbia is in deep peril in division. It is a civil war in the province of British Columbia as the Seattle Mariners are taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. And some media members in Vancouver firmly believe that the BC team is Seattle. And I am cheering for the Mariners. Full disclosure, we're not BC's team. Right, Chris?
I mean, as far as the population split of the fan bases, there is definitely more Jays fans than Mariners fans. But to act as if one of those fan bases doesn't exist in BC is madness.
Yes, on both sides. I will grant you that. Anyway,
and just to remind all the Vancouver sports media, remember the rules. Do not touch the hair or the face.
Right? What? Oh.
Anchorman fight reference, boys. Come on.
Oh, right.
It's too early in the day for my brain to be fully awake.
Pretty at 9 a.m. I don't believe you. Welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. You can follow us on Twitter. Sean, I'll get you in a second. I have a question for you. You can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio. Sean, here's my question for you. With Zane Parekh making his home debut yesterday, is this mayor race now? Do you think now that this has happened, do you think the mayor of the city, is this become a civic issue because it became just an explosive flames Twitter issue? Is this has everything in Calgary kind of calmed down? Is everyone taking a breath, or are we asking these questions for the mayoral debate? How many games should Zane Parekh play?
I don't think we need to add that to the toxicity of the civic election and the teacher strike and everything else going on in politics in Alberta. So,
fair enough. I'm just curious because my God.
And then let alone we got snowed on last night. So
yes,
it's great in Calgary.
And that's why I moved to Kelowna, not to deal with that stupid weather bullshit.
Yes. I am in Vancouver as well. And we're here to talk Canucks, but we got a couple of games to talk about. The Canucks ended up going 1-1 to start the year. They beat the Flames 5-1. They lose to the Oilers 3-1. There's a lot of information. I think there's a couple of things to compact in both of those games. So let's start with the Calgary game. Calgary coming off an eight-round shootout per win over the Edmonton Oilers, where they came back from a 3-1 deficit to beat the Oilers 4-3. But maybe let's just start with how we saw this one. Philip Hedl with 2 goals. Brock Besser gets a goal. And I thought overall, this is kind of my take on it. There was one of the key turning points was the Flames had a late power play in the second, an early power play in the third. The Canucks killed both of those off, and I thought regained the momentum of the game and score 4 in the third and wrap this up. We'll start with Chris. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, the Flames clearly had their legs earlier in that game than the Canucks did, but that's probably because they played a game the day before. They kind of already had gone into, the gears of the regular season, whereas the Canucks, they had no prior games to this since Thursday of last week, so almost a full week, plus, all the pre-game festivities as far as, a season opener and all that. So, yeah, it took the Canucks a little bit to kind of get going. But as you suggested, yeah, it was about partway through the second where they finally really got the motor going. And, yeah, they did not turn back after that.
Yeah, it was. Chris nailed it with the Flames had the jump playing the night before, which almost always happens on back-to-backs. Then you throw in the fact that you have the pomp and circumstance of the home opener. The Canucks are a young team, and I think people need to remember this going through at very least the first part of this season. Yes, the top line's all veterans. They brought in Evander Kane. The blue line, I mean, you're looking at 5 out of the 6 being pretty experienced, but especially up front throughout the lineup, you've got a lot of young players. Braden Coots, Jonathan LeCaramecki, Archie Baines is still young. Atu Ratu's still young. Let alone you've got a rookie head coach. They're still trying to they probably haven't quite figured out what the system or how they want to play is just yet. They got a couple bounces, and the penalty kill is still looking really good. And they had Demko to keep them in it in both games. So I would say that if you're looking, I think they're still finding their way. But having Keedle step up in Calgary, get a couple goals, they need one person to step up and sort of take control. And if they do, they're going to win games.
Yeah, so Filipino gets 2 goals. He probably his most impactful game as a Canuck, I would have to say. I thought he was really good in that game. Evander Kane had a nice pass to Lekarmaki, who scored. Really did like Archie Baines, and I thought lots of shot blocks in the game as well for the Canucks. So yeah, I thought overall they ended up playing a pretty solid game. I thought it was an encouraging sign seeing Filipino, and I was also encouraged by Thatcher Demko for in terms of goaltending as well. But yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about Braden Coots in this game because he had 17 shifts, 11 minutes, 14 seconds. It was his National Hockey League debut. What did everybody think?
I mean, he didn't look out of place, but he wasn't necessarily making a big impact, if that makes sense.
And yeah, even he said in his post-game remarks that the moment kind of got to him a little bit. It was his first NHL game. He admitted that the intensity and physicality have ramped up significantly from the preseason. So yeah, it's going to take a little while for him to kind of get his bearings again once the NHL is kind of, going at the full tilt regular season, physicality and just vibe.
Yeah, they had him out in certain situations. I don't I know that everybody got really excited about him, and I think probably we will end up knowing where Braden Coots is at after this road trip that the Canucks are going on. But I think it's great that he got his first NHL game. He was rewarded for a great camp. He had his same amount of ice time, by the way, as Atu Ratu that game. So, overall, nothing. A first NHL game, he gets that under his wings, and he's going to continue to play and grow from it. There were two hits in this game that got a lot of conversation. So let's quickly touch on them. It was Mackenzie Weegar that hit EP40 and he got an interference penalty. EP left the game. 40 left the game briefly. Did anybody think that was a major?
Out of the two hits, that was probably the least likely to get any sort of secondary looks at as far as Department of Player Safety, in my mind. Primarily because, like, EPD is known for his, like, reverse hit sort of move. And it wasn't necessarily like a full-on reverse hit, but you could tell from the body positioning and the way PD's head was tilted that he knew Uyghur was there. So if anything, it was just more Uyghur caught him off balance and charged him into the boards. Whereas, yeah, I think it's DPD's hit that is a little bit more, I don't want to go as far as saying dirty, but definitely a lot more questionable in total.
Yeah, it's the Uyghur hit on Elias Pettersson. That just was, yeah, more unfortunate circumstances than anything else. The DPD hit on Zary, I don't think it's as bad as everyone's making it out to be. If you look at there's the one back angle. Everyone's yelling that it was directly in the numbers. It wasn't. It was sort of back shoulder. And yeah, it was borderline, but if they had upheld that 5, I probably would have been upset with it because I think that's a soft 5. But I think both, like, it's probably the more egregious of the two. But I think 2 minutes makes sense for both.
Yeah, ultimately, if it was 2 minutes for both or 5 minutes for both, as long as they basically treated it essentially equally, then yeah, I think that would have kept most fans at bay.
Yeah, they're not suspensions, first of all. I don't think either of them are necessarily. I think we need to have, at some point, we need to have a conversation of what a dirty hit is, because that's not, I don't think that EP 25 was dirty. I thought it was, you could argue it was a little over exuberant. I think Landon Ferraro used that word. I think it was an over exuberant hit, but I don't think it was dirty. Like that, I wouldn't say that.
The word dirty seems to get thrown around for anything that is borderline or like gets called a penalty.
Yeah,
by a lot of people.
Yeah,
and I think dirty for me, the connotation of that for me, there needs to be some sort of intent to do something illegal, and I don't think there was there. And again, I think if you look at that back angle, the difference between those two hits is about 10 to 15 degrees on the shoulder. The Uyghur hit on Elias Pettersson was sort of almost directly on the side of the shoulder. And then the DPD hit on Zary was just slightly on the back end of the shoulder. It was not directly in the numbers. Anyone saying that needs to take a look at that angle and get rid of their bias.
Well, I wouldn't say it was. I think for me it wasn't the numbers. It was just how close that it was to the boards for me that was the concern.
Both were close to the boards, though. That's the other thing. Both were very close to the boards, and both players went down into the boards in a very similar fashion.
Chris, what is Bowie's thoughts on this?
I think he's generally in agreement with Sean on this.
Well, that sounds like it. Yeah, but I don't think either of them are dirty. I mean, if it was a major, I think from the Flames fans' perspective, I don't know I think ultimately they got the calls right, and I think people need to understand if you haven't seen EP25 play, that's the way he plays. He's a physical player. So,
and it's not like it was, and not like the massive dirty headshot that Zary hit on DPD last season.
Well, Zary deserved that suspension 100%.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's when it gets into that borderline again. I think they've got both calls right. I know there's a lot of people, and I think it's based off of bias in terms of how they want the game to play, and I'm coming from that too. I like the physicality and the violence of hockey. It's part of the reason why I love the sport. and both those hits were borderline for differing reasons, but they're also like they're saying they're not the same hit. Correct, and I'll tell again. The difference was just a slight angle on where the hitter hit the hit E on the shoulder, but both were still shoulder principal contact. Zeri sort of twisted, and which made it look worse and made it look like it was in the numbers. But when you look at the actual footage of the hit, it wasn't. It was still shoulder contact.
Fair enough. But the Canucks full value for their 5-1 win over the Calgary Flames. Then they get to Edmonton. There was a little bit of a conversation of who was going to start the game, but it turned out to be Thatcher Demko. And boy, did Thatcher Demko have a game against the Oilers. I did post on Twitter / social media that if it wasn't for Thatcher Demko, this probably would have been a 30-1 game. It turned out to be a 3-1 game for the Oilers. With the Canucks only had 9 shots going into the third period. The Oilers at one point had over 11 minutes of offensive zone time, which excited Ron McLean. Anyway, Sean, we'll start with you. What did you think about this game?
Going back to what I said at the beginning about this being a young team, I think this is where the inexperience kind of showed. There's definitely times where you had the line, like the Karamecki, Coots, Kane line getting hemmed in. You had the fourth line getting hemmed in. You had even the second line as well. My only concern, this is a game where you want your number one line to step up and start dictating play, and unfortunately they didn't. Had they done that, this would have been a much different game. You would have been able to ride Demko to a win. And I said they need a skater to just take the ball and run with it, take the puck and score with it, essentially. And they didn't get that last night against the Oilers. So, and with the Adam Foote team and how young the Adam Foote system and how young this team is, I think you're going to need that. You're going to need someone to step up and just help build some momentum. And I think the Canucks never got that momentum. Giving up that late goal in the second really hurt them. They got that goal early in the third and had a little bit of momentum, but they weren't able to ride it out till the end of the game and get a tying goal. So, but can we talk about those hits, please?
Yeah. Well, before we do that,
we talked about the 2 borderline hits.
Game. I've got a plan. I wanted to, Chris. Did you get a chance to kind of see the game? I know it is your birthday weekend, by the way. Happy birthday to Chris.
Yeah. So Friday night went out for my actual birthday. Last night though is my 1-year anniversary with my girlfriend. So we went out to a steakhouse last night. So I actually didn't get to watch the game last night, but I have seen some of the highlights. So I can talk about the hits. And I'm talking about the goals, but that's about the extent of my commentary.
Okay, so let's talk. I think that there's 2 hits that I think everybody is going to applaud. There's one that some are going to. Louis DeBrusk certainly felt was a penalty. Let's just quickly address the Evander hit. There's 2 Evander Kane hits. The one leading, and they're both to Alec Regula. They're both behind the net. But one was late in the second, one was in the third. Let's address the first one. Sean, I'm going to assume you don't think that that's a penalty.
It's one of those, again, it's one of those borderline ones. And when I look at it, it doesn't look like Kane's going in for a hit there. It looks like he's just guiding Regula into the boards to pin him. And I don't know what happened, caught an edge. Maybe tried to sell the call. I don't know, but he went into the boards very violently. Could it have been a 2-minute boarding call? Yeah, I wouldn't have thrown a tantrum if they had called 2 minutes for that. But I think when I watch the replay, and I'm watching it right now, I don't see an intent to make a boarding hit at all. So I think that was just something. I don't know if, like I said, maybe Regula just caught an edge or something like that, and that's what helped him go into the boards pretty violently, but he didn't fall into the boards the way we saw the two players in the Flames Canucks game fall into the boards. He was still upright, which is why I think had he had fallen down against the Dapper, yes, it probably would have been a 5-minute major. But because he stayed upright and then just fell afterwards, I think, again, it's one of those ones where I think if they had called it 2 minutes for boarding, again, I wouldn't have thrown a tantrum for it. But I think the right call was made there. It's one of those just borderline that there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, I think I only just recently saw that hit. I actually didn't see that last night, but from what I've seen of this hit in particular, I think it's more just Regula stopped with a foot before the boards, whereas Kane was just his only intent was just to basically staple him to it. And because there was that slight gap, that Regula, he had a slight chance of falling forward, and that's what leads to the awkwardness of that clip.
Yeah, I would say staple is the wrong word there, because I think that there's more intent for a much forceful hit. I think he was just guiding him in more than anything else. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a shoulder or push there. You see it, but I think that's again more because of how the sudden stop from Regula, or however that happens. He's pushing against him as he's going, and then that happens, and you lose you're going to have that happen when you're leaning against someone like that.
Yeah, I mean, even Darnell Nurse went after Kane after the hit, and you could almost see do we really need to fight over this? Really? Yeah. I think both of them were really? No. We kind of had a bit of a shove, and that was about it. There's two other hits, though. Tyler Myers, well, there was a second. Let's go through the second Evander Kane hit, because Evander Kane late in the third gets Alec Regula again. That was I'm going to precursor this. I'm the least biggest Evander. I'm probably going to be the least biggest Evander Kane supporter on this podcast. And I will even say that was a clean hit. He may have gotten a touch of it. I think it was the style of hit that people may question, but that's a clean hit in my opinion. There's not much to complain about that one in my mind, but if someone has a complaint or a comment, let me know.
If anyone has a complaint about that hit, maybe it should be on Regula for not realizing he's on the trolley tracks. That is old school. I know I'm bringing up a name that's a little controversial, but Rock'em Sock'em, that type of stuff. That was just textbook clean, shoulder to chest, just beautiful. I don't there's no one should be upset with that. It reminds me of that Dustin Brown hit on, I think it was Daniel Sedin, years ago. I was upset that he got hit, but I was just looked at it, I was you can't get upset with something that hit that clean. That was just, it was violent. That's the type of hit you want to keep in hockey.
Yeah. The other hit in this game was Tyler Myers on Trent Frederick. So shortly after, Draisaitl gets Tyler Myers early in the third with a pretty good hit of his own. But Tyler Myers takes I'm watching this now. Trent Frederick's trying to come over the line, and he just runs into this brick wall that has the name Tyler Myers 57 on it. That was an absolute great hit in my opinion. Sean, but I want to touch on Tyler Myers a little more. But there's no problem with that hit.
Oh, good. No, that hit literally got me from sort of leaning back watching the game to for a lack of a better term, immediately erect, just yelling. It was just. Yeah, that those two hits are for a guy who grew up playing defense and was physical. That's hockey porn, man. That's standing a guy up at the blue line. That is, Like it was like I was sitting back, leaning back, and all of a sudden, just boom, just yelling like, "Holy fuck!"
Got you on the edge of your seat.
You beauty, like just that's the type of hit that will wake you up if you're and that was I'm speechless in terms of how good that hit was.
Yeah, I don't know if like Myers' height plays into a factor of it as well, but like, yeah, just the sheer violence of the hit, like just sending him airborne is like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Just to stay kind of, and it was a tough night for the Canucks. Let's stick with a couple of positive things. We'll touch on Demko here in a quick second, but I thought Tyler Myers actually was probably one of the better Canucks last night with not only that hit, but he was a pain in the ass to McDavid. And if you're a pain in the ass to Connor McDavid, for me, you always get a little bit of a couple of extra points.
He got away with a big cowbell.
Yes, he did.
Splash on McDavid at one point. I was like, woof. Yep, you got away with that one there, Tyler.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought Myers was trying to make a physical presence of the game. I thought he was one of the positives for me. But I mean, I think the best thing that comes out of the positive thing that comes out of this game is this week is overall. I think we can see that Thatcher Demko has got his game back. I mean, that save on Draisaitl in the third, where the Oilers were power playing, just was unbelievable. So, but he was great all night. He kept the Canucks in the game. I will maintain this.
Well,
I stand on this.
Sorry, I've said this before, and Demko did that last night. Like, he made tough saves look easy because of his reads and positioning.
Even that Draisaitl one, I mean, he made that look easier than it looked.
Yeah.
He didn't make it look that flashy. Like, it was like he sprawled for sure, but it wasn't like he wasn't Patrick Waugh gloving and flaunting it.
And he also got the Edmonton-based commentator to, he gave him Demko full props on how dramatic of a save that was. So, yeah, if it's an Edmonton-based play-by-play guy is doing that, then, yeah, it's a good save.
Yeah. So, I mean, so far, so good. I will maintain this. I firmly believe this, guys. Thatcher Demko is going to back up Connor Hellebuyck for the U.S. Olympic team. I really believe it. I think I don't even the most ardent Dallas Star fan cannot convince me that Jake Ottinger is better than Thatcher Demko.
Not only that, but I think friend of the show, Rick Dollywall, tweeted after that game that guess who is on the U.S. team's management? He just happens to be the GM for the Edmonton Oilers, Bowman. So, yeah, clearly got a front row seat of why Demko deserves to be on the U.S. team.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so those were the two things. The couple of problems are unfortunate. I think Filipino is Filipino. Hear me out. Filipino reminds me of JT Miller, because there are nights that Filipino is going to can really take charge of a game and take control of the time he's on the ice, i.e. Calgary. And then unfortunately there are times when he gives a brutal giveaway. Not sure what he was doing on the Mangiapane goal late in the second, but that was not Filipino's finest hour. I think ultimately they got to hope for a little bit more consistency from Hedl, first of all. Sean?
I mean,
yeah, they do need
Hedl is not exactly known for his consistency, unfortunately. But yeah, as far as what we can hope for as fans, yeah, you definitely hope for that.
Sorry, Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, he does need to be more consistent, but I think that's part of the reason why the Canucks are still looking for. I know they keep saying another center, and maybe that's because they want to move Hedl to the wing. But they just need another second line player, someone who can help he'll drive the play on that line. Because I think that part of it is he's trying to do, like, I think that was part of the issue. He's trying to do too much. And then he just needs to, he can simplify the game, get those zone entries, use his speed that is a massive weapon. And then things will be good. But if he gets caught trying to do too much, then that's when you're going to see him, pull those JT Miller gaffes and go from there.
Yeah, the other, the number one line, I think maybe the one that got more conversation, I don't want to get into, was sort of that late power play where they pulled Demko, and the deployment was Petey, DeBrusk, Besser, Hughes, Roenick, and Kane. What did you think? Did you have an issue with how that power play was set up?
I think you stick with the power play units right now. I know there's the clamor right now is to get the new shiny toy, Jonathan Lekaramäki, in on the power play. But I think, again, we're talking about Lekaramäki, who's going to be trying to make he's a rookie. He's trying to make his way in the NHL for his first full NHL season. He came over from Sweden last year, played his first year as a North American pro last year. And he's trying to make the jump to the NHL. So I don't think for his development and his confidence and everything, you need to keep that. You don't want to overload him. And I think the power play hasn't looked great just yet, but I don't think putting Lekaramäki on there is going to fix that. The power play is going to run through two players. That's Quinn Hughes and EP40, Elias Pettersson. Like you need to get those two going. We're talking about Quinn Hughes, who is now the outright franchise leader in defenseman points with his assist last night. But he hasn't been the offensive dynamo that we know he can be. And Petey's also been a little bit too quiet. We're already seeing people starting to warm up their vocal cords on social media to scream about him. So if those two get going, it doesn't matter whether it's Kane or Lekaramäki who's on the power play one with them. It's going to go well. So get those guys going first, and then you can start making those adjustments and potentially moving Lekaramäki up.
Yeah. We're not going to join in the vocal cords of yelling at EP40. It is 2 games into the season. I think that, what are people wanting? 6 points a night here? What are we expecting? It's just let him get, let's talk about where EP40 is at after American Thanksgiving. I don't think we need to yell every time he doesn't have a great game. It's nobody really had a great game. The fact of the matter is, unfortunately, what we saw here is the Oilers are a bit of a step ahead in terms of where they're kind of, I'm not one to always want to give the Oilers props, but that's a very clearly, they came into this year a very different team with a very different focus. And we'll get into one of the reasons why this season to get off to a better start. They're just a step ahead of where the Canucks are right now. That's just the fact of the matter. I don't think that that's any shame on EP40 or anybody else that played. The Oilers are a better team. Like, we just have to acknowledge that. I mean, the only edge that the Canucks have over the Oilers right now, well, there's 2. I think the blue line is, I still would take the Canucks blue line over the Oilers blue line, and I would take the Canucks goaltending over the Oilers goaltending. But in terms of the team speed, the Oilers definitely have an advantage over the Canucks.
That, and also helps when you have arguably the 2 best players in the game on your team. Like, as much as like Quinn Hughes and EP40 at his best can be game changers, Leon and Connor are arguably on a different tier.
Yeah, I would say that Quinn Hughes this is how I will look at it. If we acknowledge that McDavid is the son of the galaxy, I think Quinn Hughes is in the galaxy of Connor. The 7 players I would say are in the McDavid planet. McDavid is the son. Then you got McKinnon, the unfortunately injured Barkov, Kucherov. Yes, Kucherov is in there. Makar and Hughes and Draisaitl. So I would say that those are the 7 best by 7 clear best players in the league. And I think that there's an argument that Austin Matthews is either the son of the second galaxy or the far planet in the McDavid galaxy. And I wouldn't argue, but there's clearly 7 or 8, and Quinn Hughes is definitely in there.
You heard it here. Kevin said that Kucherov is a superstar.
And for those who don't see us every week, at one point in the past, Kevin did argue that Kucherov was not superstar level. So just a little inside note.
He wasn't the expressive personality that he has become today, where he has embraced his heel character much more. So this week we've got 4 Canuck games. They have the Thanksgiving game that you may be listening to this before against St. Louis, and then they go on the road. Dallas on Wednesday, Chicago on Friday, and a Sunday matinee game.
Friday.
Sorry, it's a back-to-back. Dallas, Chicago back-to-back. Washington for breakfast on next Sunday morning. Any quick thoughts on that, or?
Well, I'd say that you're gonna see Lankinen get probably the Dallas start, and then maybe one more this week. There was all this talk about whether Lankinen should have started last night versus Edmonton. I'm like, and you look at the schedule, it's like, no, you're playing Demko. It's a division matchup. This is still Demko's net. As good as Lankinen played last year, we just thought Demko's still one of the best goaltenders in the league. You're playing him as much as you can while still trying to manage his games, his minutes, and to make sure that he stays healthy. But I would say that you give Lankinen one of the back-to-backs games, and then potentially the matinee game out against Washington in the East.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, did you have any thoughts?
I mean, I'm in general agreement. Like, Lankinen's going to have plenty of opportunity to be properly utilized on this road trip, and I think Sean laid out a pretty good roadmap of what that logistically should be.
Yeah,
and I think this, as you said, Kev, I think we'll have a better idea where Braden Coots is. We'll have a better idea of what this team really is. We're only 2 games in. It's still a younger team. The younger players are still trying to find their way and be comfortable with the speed of the NHL. So we'll have a better idea of what the Bains, the Karamakis, the Coots, the DPDs. I think we'll see Mancini in there at some point as well during this road trip. And who am I? Ratu as well. I think you're going to see some of those guys start to get their legs and see where they really are. And I think that's something to look at. And again, I really hope that we start seeing that first line start to dominate, because if that line can't dominate games, even if it's not like super consistently, they can't take over a game or 2 a week. It's going to be a tough slog to create offense for this team.
Yeah, it would be an interesting week. We'll discuss what happened on that next week. Let's get into some other NHL, and I think that you got the Kyle Connor signing, you got the Jack Eichel signing, you got the Matthias Ekholm signing, which basically I'm assuming that the major networks are canceling free agent frenzy next July 1st. Anyway. But Connor, the one that I think is going to get all the conversation is Connor McDavid's 2-year, same price, 16.5. Wait, sorry, 12. What? I'm sorry,
12 and a half.
12 and a half. Sorry, I think I've confused that with Eichel. But quite a statement that Connor McDavid made with this contract signing. I think there's a number of ways that you can look at this. I'll start with Chris. What's your look at this?
Just like on the fairness, like my thoughts on the McDavid contract.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it reiterates that he's giving the Oilers another like 2 to 3 year window to basically see how sustainable this level of winning is in Edmonton, and doing so at a team-friendly number. Like, he's the best player in hockey, so he could easily command around 20% of the cap, which puts him close to $20 million a season. But he decided willingly to take 12 and a half. So, like, clearly he's wanting to still give Edmonton a chance for the next couple of years. But I would say because of how short that term was, it's also sending a clear message of, I'm not necessarily married to this franchise for the rest of my career. If I think that I have a better chance to win elsewhere, I'm going to go there. So, yeah, he's giving Edmonton the benefit of the doubt, but only for that window that he signed for.
Yeah, did he make a big statement? Yes, he wants to win. That is everything he's saying with this contract. He's been to the Cup final twice in the last 2 years. He is the best player in the world. He could have signed for whatever dollar amount he wanted. It was the same thing with the Kaprizov deal. He could have signed for whatever dollar amount he wanted, and he did. And McDavid did, but he wants to win. He's given them 2 years to figure their shit out and take that one last step. And if they do, there's a good chance he'll sign long-term there and become sort of what Sidney Crosby is to the Penguins. If they don't, he'll go look elsewhere. I don't think this contract changes anything for any other player because of those very specific circumstances that surround McDavid and the Oilers. And I think when you see as you talked about, the Kyle Connor contracts, the Jack Eichel contract, I don't think it really changes anything. I think all it does is put the pressure on Stan Bowman and the Edmonton Oilers brass to put the team around Connor McDavid to win that cup.
Yeah, I think people are calling this a team-friendly deal. I would call this a team pressure deal. Like, I think that Connor McDavid did make the statement, and I think he made a statement in the offseason when he made his comments like, look, I want to see the direction of this team before I sign this contract. I think it was a very firm comment. Like, look, I mean, I think that there's probably an argument of, like, you go back to a couple of years ago when they did that McDavid documentary after Game 7 and how he just blew up on the team. I think, and last year, I think the way that came, like, let's be honest here. If the Kings didn't fuck up the first round, the Oilers would have been out in the first round. The Kings basically handed the Oilers a present and said, okay, go on to the Stanley Cup final. The Kings were up 2-0. They were up in Game 3 as well. The Kings blew it. Everybody knows that, right? Like, the Kings completely blew that series against the Edmonton Oilers. So the Oilers were kind of fortunate to get to where they were last year. I don't think that team was even close to the team that got to the final a year before. And I think that McDavid is saying, look, you got to figure this out. Like, and I mean, do they look better right now? Sure. Yes, they do. Do you trust Stuart Skinner? I mean, they're suppressing shots as much as possible. They almost don't want any shots on their goaltender, ultimately they can. This is the thing. The Oilers can bring the Canadian Olympic team, but if you're going to have Stuart Skinner, I question that blue line overall, but I definitely think that the question around Stuart Skinner continues to exist. And I can't see the Oilers winning a Stanley Cup with Stuart Skinner and that as their goaltender. That's the biggest question for the Edmonton Oilers going forward.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're all in general agreement on our lack of confidence in Skinner.
Yeah. And one more time, Evan Bouchard is not in Quinn Hughes' league. Thank you. Anyway. Just wanted to remind you, Oiler fans out there, that the analytics crowd, the coloring book crowd out there that said, look at Evan Bouchard and his minutes. Oh my goodness, he's so good. He's better than Quinn Hughes. Just stop. Just stop. One more question that we'll have here. It's, of course, we got to see some new faces and new jerseys, of course, with the start of the regular season, of course, including Evander Kane, former Flame Andre Mangiapane wearing an Oilers jersey. That was weird. But what is one player that just looked wrong in a new uniform?
I'll start off because how this came about was the Mangiapane as an Oiler. And I said that it's almost as bad as Chris Tanev in a Flames jersey. And yes, I understand that Chris Tanev, being Chris Tanev, endeared himself to Calgary and Flames fans and all that, but he should have never been a Flame. The Canucks fucked it up in that season after the bubble, and he should have never left the Canucks. And so he goes from the Canucks to a division rival, a blue jersey, to a red jersey. Everything about that transition made it so fucking wrong. He just looked wrong in it. He never looked right in it. I'm sorry. Yes, Flames fan. The thing with this question is that there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. It's all subjective. But when you compare, you put all those factors together, he looked absolutely wrong as a Flame. I'm sorry, Flames fans, but he did.
Yeah, I'm with Sean on this one. As far as the reasoning behind the question, yeah, Tanev just never looked right in red. And I know Kevin probably disagrees with that, but he's also a Flames fan. So
I didn't mind Chris Tanev a Flame at all. And well, he did go back to blue, to be fair, just the wrong blue. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I from a Canucks perspective, how that happened was an absolute, that was probably one of the worst off seasons, just mishandled. We don't need to rehash it, but that was just an absolute disaster how that off season was handled.
And even though Sean kind of already covered it, but I think essentially just because of that, interdivision, going from one team in the division to the other. Yeah, I think the most awkward, to get back to the original question, the most awkward one probably is Breadman.
It's no, I still.
The thing with Mangiapane is that he had that one year in Washington.
Yeah, so that kind of eases. Yeah, that kind of eases the awkwardness to me for Mangiapane. I mean, it's not that big of a deal that he joined the Oilers, but it would have been awkward if Tanev was traded to the Oilers. That would have been really awkward for all involved, guys. Yeah.
But I guess I
didn't look right in the Dallas Stars colors either.
Yeah,
but the reason why I leaned in on the Mangiapane one is the Marner in Vegas, I couldn't care less. I'm not a Toronto fan. I'm not a Vegas fan. They're not division rivals. So to me, the Mangiapane one just kind of makes the most sense as far as in the spirit of the question of what just feels wrong.
Yeah. I think the league one that I think the most recent one that for me, probably in terms of hockey, Steven Stamkos with Nashville is probably the one that just felt weird. That changing to blue and the nice Tampa to these god awful. I'm sorry, these Nashville Predator jerseys. If we had more time, these awful, god awful honey mustard jerseys. I think that's one thing that for one. But yeah, Stamkos not in a Tampa jersey, in a Nashville Predator jersey, I think just felt weird to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All
the
right,
other two that came to my mind just before we go off, Doug Gilmour in a Habs jersey, and
Yeah, that was weird.
Jaromir Jagr in a Flyers jersey.
Yeah.
For Yager though, like I understand, like as division rival, he was a longtime Penguin for sure. But maybe it's just because of how young I was with Yager and his overall career arc. To me, he was just a guy that played on different NHL teams. Like I know he probably played with Pittsburgh for the longest out of all the teams, but like to me, he was just an NHL journeyman who just went from city to city. Whoever would pay him, he would play for him.
And then Gretzky with the Blues as well. That was also weird to me.
Yeah.
And didn't he play for St. Louis the season that they wore those like weird trumpet jerseys?
Yes.
Yep.
Grant Fuhr was in goal. Mike Keenan was the coach. And Yzerman scored. Yeah. Okay, so we got football to watch. We got baseball to watch a little later. So how do we follow everyone?
I am BeardyConnect03 on Twitter.
I am at Schnads on most social media.
Devin, you can find on Instagram, Dean Mahomes Smith. That's where he mostly does his promotion. Tyler is TNOBLE. He's telling everyone to calm down. And you know damn well he's not even remotely calm because of what's going to happen here with this Blue Jay series. You know that. So, Tyler, calm down. You can follow me on all social medias at KEVOLE. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now. Go Mariners.